Alright everyone, welcome back to another Wash and Talk. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, and it's been pretty busy, in personal life. That and a lot of electrical bugs that we've had to handle. It's weird, almost like it came all in at the same time. As I mentioned in the interviews, the GoPro audio was just really off, and well, it started with my first GoPro 7, which is great. I mean, 3 years of just a lot of work, never get an issue, and it finally did, right? So I had to go with the GoPro 10, and that gave me audio issues again, and then I got another GoPro 10 like 2 weeks later, and then it gave me more audio issues, and I was like, what? So then finally I went and picked up a GoPro 11, which honestly is the same exact thing as the GoPro 10, which is repackaged. But I think so far so good. We'll find out after this, so let's see how this sounds. But man, overall it's been pretty good. And then my computer started acting up because my screen, where I edit, it cracked. So I should say the case, not the screen. The screen's fine, but the case cracked, and so I can't close my computer because every single time I close the computer, it creates a bigger. The crack gets a little longer and bigger. It's almost like a windshield, where it starts so small, and then there's friction, and then it just, before you know it, the crack's all in the middle of the windshield. But now I gotta look into a different computer, and also I'm still gonna salvage this one, but I want to make sure that I have something else for me to be able to continue to edit. And then editing wise, then the free version that I was using for Hit Film for Express, it started acting up, and I think it had to do with the GoPro not reading the SD card, and the SD card showing corrupt. So it was a whole ordeal, and that's the stuff. I had not had that type of I guess bug or challenges in a long time, and so that's when you realize that you just take things for granted. You know what I mean? Like when everything works so easily and nicely, like you don't even flinch. You just kind of that becomes your new benchmark. So I just definitely wanted to share that with you, just because it is a little frustrating having to go back to Costco and return, and then hoping that it works, setting the camera on, and especially with the interviewers, being able to go and interview them and then come back and find out the audio is not the best. It's like, damn. So thank you all for bearing with me. Thank you for, I think the last 4 or 5 interviews has been a little hectic when it comes to the sound, so that's why you guys haven't seen as much of the driving experience, because there was a time that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fix this issue by adding an external mic, and I did, and then that external mic started acting up, and so just yeah. But I think we're back on track. We shall see. And so yeah, I mean, I guess what's new is there's a lot of personal challenges and changes, I should say, not challenges, changes. It's been fun, but it's definitely changing my sleeping time and other aspects, but overall it's good. We're happy, we're all healthy, and I think that's what matters. And at the end of the day, you have to understand that nothing in this world matters if you don't have your health, right? And so I'm so glad that everyone in my family is healthy, and everything else, like these little electrical things, they come and go, and people who really want to support the channel will be there whenever another video gets uploaded, whether it's in a week or a month or whatever. But yeah, I mean, summer's coming to an end, at least for me. I've had a little bit of time off from work. I'm gonna get ready to go back to work, and it's exciting to have some time off from work, because then you have all these crazy ideas that you want to do, but then when time goes on and you didn't get to do most of them, you're like, and so what I mean by that is there was times that I wanted to lower this car I even, try to win some T37s. Believe it or not, yes, me, the phony, the one that was always talking smack on T37s. I try to get one, racing green, and I think the green would go well with this. Something, contrast the silver, or some matte blues, but I wasn't able to get them, and I'm like, man, like the car's still for sale, and I'm just like, I don't want to sell it, but at the same time, it's like having to move it here and there. I'm sure some of you guys can understand, can relate. But other than that, I did try to clean the engine bay because it hadn't been clean for years, I'm assuming. Um, I was really like careful on what I need to cover and what I don't need to cover, just because the engine is a little different than that cord, and so I just want to make sure that I don't mess with any electrical stuff, because then that would be a nightmare. Um, but overall, the car is really good. The car is very clean, and I really enjoy driving it. Um, I get a lot of thumbs up from different people, and that's cool. That's, I guess that's the value of driving something cool, old and classic. It's not fun when there's no AC, but in those days that it's kind of cool, you feel like, okay, you're driving something out of the norm. It's not just a new car that you can just go by to dealership. But speaking of a dealership car, uh, I had been contemplating, as you guys know, getting something newer, like a sedan. Rosie's good, but sometimes the AC doesn't work as fast as I would like it. I mean, it's a 94. What do I expect? And so kind of got me into this whole. I asked some people on Instagram, and I did my own research on what is like the best fun sedan, SUV, or wagon, from like 2012, maybe 2010 and up. And I would love to hear you guys' opinions. I've interviewed so many different cool cars. Like, for instance, the one that comes up top of my head is the Mazda Protege wagon that we interviewed a long time ago, and I thought that car looked really cool. Obviously, the owner had modified it very, very nicely, but it's one of those cars that I would never myself think of, buying until you see it. And so that's why I can kind of been playing around with the idea of like, okay, the E30 is there. Yes, if it goes, great. If it doesn't, oh well. I'm also keep enjoying it. Rosie, I don't know if I sell her, it's not gonna be by much. I don't know if people start lowballing me. I'm that type of person that I'd rather just take out the headlights and take out the wing and put the OEM stock wheels and take it to the junkyard, and that's it. Like, I'm not gonna be penny pinching with people. I'd rather just go to the junkyard and call it a day. So obviously to get rid of that car is not difficult, but the car is reliable. So I'm like, yeah, why not? But the new car that if I was to go pull the trigger on, I think it has to have a few things. It has to be at least a sedan or a wagon, maybe like a SUV-ish, like a Forester, but it has to be manual. I know some of you guys are like, manual's overrated, and I understand. I'm also part of the crew that not everything has to be manual, especially when you're in traffic. But I just personally like the feeling, of just shifting. I don't know. I think we're going away from manual cars, and so we gotta cherish them as much as we can, because if it's not us, then who is? And so that's kind of the thing. I mean, I don't know if you guys ever had a car that you guys can recommend that you thought that was a pretty cool car. For me, I think, I'm not sure. Like, there's some brands that I'm really like just trying to learn a little bit more that I probably wouldn't look into. Like, for instance, Volvo. I think Volvo is pretty cool. Subaru. Obviously, you're gonna run into some issues, but that's how it is. I wish, Honda did something. I guess they have the SI, but some of the SIs that I've come across are just very, very clapped out. They abuse them. BMW seems to be, I think, the top of the list. I like the design of the cars, and how sporty they are. But then again, they're a little bit pricey, and they have a lot of miles. But I mean, overall, It's not it's just a luxury. It's not a necessity, it's a want. So I'm not rushing into it, and I'm also not really unhappy with the cars that I have at the moment. So they get the job done, and that's fine. Plus summer should be coming to an end for us in like in a month or so, I think. So temps should be coming down, and then we're back to good old 70, 80 degree weather where we don't really need AC. So um, it's a cycle, as we know, and this is how it is. And so I know Rob from Canada has always been like, don't touch the cars, just leave them. I just it's life is too short to drive a boring car, I guess, or a stock car. And so every time I look at the E30, I'm like, man, even on those wheels, even on those mesh BBS wheels, I'm like, you look good lower just a tiny bit. I think that would be a good look for you. I just love the personality, like the front end on this car. Um, you know it's like 85, so you're driving an older car. It's different, and so I think that's the appeal to many of the car meets that we go to. We don't go to. I'm aware there's car meets about exotics and just newer cars, but I don't know. I guess I'm not into them at the moment. It doesn't mean that I'll never be into them. But I just like the whole ideology of older cars, and I think that's why we definitely go show love to old school Honda because, I mean, to some people, 90s cars, maybe early 2000s are not old, but to us, compared to the new cars that are coming out on the dealerships, man, they're so different. And I envy those that were here, like their 20s, 30s, even 40s when the 90s cars were coming out. Because I don't know if you guys realize how good you had it. Maybe you did. To have like cars that down the road they create a lot of parts for, or even the dealership created OEM accessories, right? Now we don't have that. So like even a new car that comes out, like they don't have extra type of bumpers or wings or little accessories that could be added on. I think now companies understand that it's more for profit, and so they're trying to cut their cost. And I don't know, I guess that's why you see most cars look like cookie cutters, in my opinion. They just change the badge and they change one bumper and that's it. Like the cars look very very similar, like the Acura line, the Integra, the what is it, the RS TLX or something like that. They look very very similar. I'm like, well, they're nice cars, I'm sure, but yeah, I don't know. Every year seems like more and more cars are losing their personality, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm on the wrong, but yeah, I mean, I just want to communicate you guys that I go through these phases of like when I'm in relax mode, I don't even want to wash my cars. And part of it is like, as you guys can tell in this, when I'm washing it, like just without the machine. And I know some of you guys have mentioned that's fine. I just personally love to see how the car gets soaked in soap, and that's like my favorite part, as I mentioned before. But when I have to set it up and then put it back, unset it or uninstall it, whatever you call it. Yeah, and then have to grab a camera and do all of that. It's like, all right, I think I watched one of the cars without recording. I just want to watch the car because it was really really filthy. And at the time of these recording, all my four cars are really really dirty, and so I'm just like, man. If I was a car wash, I would have business forever. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I kind of self-inflicted wound, right? Can't complain when you have all those cars. But yeah, I mean, little update. I think now that we're going, kind of finishing summer, I think my wife and I are definitely gonna be. I think we're closer now. I think we're there where we can start looking for our own spot. Before you start with the interest rates and all the housing stuff, trust me, I had to take a break from it a little bit because I just kept looking at so many different videos for the past 3 months on like micro details, and I don't know about you guys. Please chime in, but I think I learned that in my personal life, when I'll give you an example, when I was going through schooling and I needed a loan from the bank, and I needed it. It was for my master's. I remember asking my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, hey, can you help me? I don't have any credit. And she's like, yeah, sure. And I remember going to the bank, and I don't remember what the interest rate was. I didn't care. I just said, hey, I need a loan, and they're like, well, you don't have credit, so we'll give you a credit card. You know, how convenient. And I was like, okay. But at the time, that was it. Like, that's all I needed, is like a lifeline type of thing, financial lifeline. So I must have gotten, like, I don't know, say on a Wednesday. I think she told me it was like 8 or 9% interest. I didn't care because I was like, I'm gonna pay it back, as soon as possible. Um, and sure enough, like 6 months later, I I was able to go back to the bank and say, hey, I need an actual loan so I can pay the rest of my schooling. And I did. And again, I didn't care about the interest rate. And so what I'm trying to get at is that you have to go based on your personal needs, your personal standings, wherever you are at in a personal level. Even if, yes, 3 years ago it was, freaking interest rate was 1.0%. We didn't have the down. It wasn't the right time for us. And if you bought back then, congratulations. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. I legitimately mean that. Now we're in a frozen market because you're not gonna sell your house to go get a 7% interest. I get it. So that's where we're at. So it's one of those things where patience is key. Life is good. Health is here. Family's good. That's ultimately the most important thing. My biggest challenge is having GoPro issues and finding a place to live. That's how I know I'm blessed, and that's how I know life is great. And so I just, wanted to take 2 seconds to come on this and do another wash and talk. I haven't done it in a long time. Thank you guys so much for bearing down, and this next couple of weeks will be, kind of getting back into the groove. I hadn't really reached out to anybody to interview, but now I think we're gonna be back into a regular schedule, and it's gonna take a couple of weeks. But big shout out to all of you who continue to leave positive comments in the, not only in the Washington talks, but in the interviews and just cars and coffees and things like that. The support really does, is appreciated and does not go unnoticed. But I don't say that enough, and I don't do enough for you guys, and that's kind of the something that I gotta work on. But for now, yeah, man. I hope you, whoever you are, wherever you're at, wherever you're listening to, I hope you're doing okay. If you're not, best wishes, positive thoughts, man. Listen to something positive, motivational speakers, I don't know, read a book, something positive, or just take the time to smell the roses on a walk with your family or with your best friend or your significant other. It's not as good as it seems, it's not as bad as it seems. It takes time. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into the Wash and Talk, and yeah, we'll keep you guys tuned in. Appreciate you guys. Peace out.